Okay, I wanted to do a video on installing my 1-DIN radio into the dash and how I went about locking it in there. Because I went to Samba and YouTube and I couldn't find anybody who'd actually mounted one with any kind of detailed instructions and whatnot. And I was like, well, it can't be that hard because I had an old radio in here and I think I'll just use the same technique. So I did. So let's take a look at what I did. So to do that, we got to take it out, which isn't too hard. Pop the radio's bezel off. Radio bezel. Take the factory bezel off. I don't know if you can see this, but I had to widen the factory bezel just a little teeny bit right through there, right through here. Give myself just enough space to be able to get that around the face of this radio. As you can see, I've got it held in place by a couple pieces of sheet metal right here. Let me take it out, take a closer look at that. So these are basically chopped off deck ties that I found at Home Depot. Each of these was 75 cents. I had to buy some screws. I think the screws are actually a little bit too long. You can get really short screws. These things don't need to be very large at all. But I took it, chopped it, screwed it in here and here. I got two screws holding it in place, both sides. And you bend it over, and basically what you're going to try and do is just clamp it in between the factory opening. See, I've done nothing to my opening. This is all the factory stuff. This is how it came. That's just it. It's real nice. But anyway, in order to find out how far to do some of this stuff, I put the bezel on. This is the factory bezel. And I wanted these pieces of metal to be able to clear the back of the factory bezel. So I made a mark and chopped them off with some clippers. Both sides. So now that they'll clamp down and won't get stuck. And then to make it mount up into the hole, behind all this stuff here, there's a piece of metal. It's just backed by sheet metal. So I put a little teeny tiny notch right in there. And when you shove it back in, the sheet metal drops into that notch. It just drops right down across this little edge right here. And that'll lock it firmly in place. I've got a notch there. I've got a notch over here on this side. So what you'll see is, shove it in there. And it just kind of clicks in place. There we go. The left clicked, right clicked. And it's solidly held in place, and it's kind of semi-adjustable all on its own. It'll just slide left and right, and it'll go up and down a little bit if you need it. But in order to determine how far I needed to put these notches, what I did is I put some toothpaste on here, both sides, a little bit of toothpaste, and then shoved it back into the amount that I needed to put it when I had the bezel in place. So that way, you'd shove it in and it would stop when the bezel was flush. And I pulled it off and I just put a mark on there. Then got my Dremel out and just cut that hole. So that wasn't too bad. And then, like I say, it just kind of plinks in there. So let me just, real quick, let me just put it right back together again. And drop it in there. And you can see how easy it is to do this thing. Sometimes it takes a couple of times to get the bezel on. That bezel is easy because it just sits there. It's the other bezel that's kind of a pain. But it's got 4 little clicks. There's 2 at the top. Bottom bezel first, then the top. That's left. That's the right side. That's good in sight. Alright, that's the top. That's the bottom. Yep, that's in there. Yep, solid. Solid. Alright, let's slide this thing in. Let's finish off this video real quick here. There's the left side. I heard it go click. And there's the right side. And you turn it on. Boop. We're up. Okay, there we go on the radio, in and out, and how to install it.